Today we're going to be learning about the chop saw. First off, as your certified tech ed teacher, all machines in this shop will have operating guards. It's my job as a tech teacher to make sure that happens. So the guard chop saw, easy to operate. When you lower the cutter head, as you see, the blade is exposed due to the guard moving up. And then when you finish your cut, as you see, the guard comes back and covers the blade. Now, the machine does have an automatic brake on. But having said that, if you ever use this machine and you're going to make your cut and it stays up, you need to come get me immediately. If it does not come back completely and cover the blade, you got to come get me. All right, I'll check to see what is wrong with the guard. Next, the chop saw blade rotates in this direction, rotates towards the fence. Why do I want it to rotate towards the fence?
So that way, like, the blades will be pushed back against the fence, that way it won't slide up.
Okay, very good. I want to keep that material against the fence as what was stated. Keep material against the fence helps to do that. If the blade rotated this direction, what do you think would happen? It would be shooting out back at you, okay? Obviously, we don't want that. Keep the board against the fence, the blade rotating in this direction. Now, having said that, big safety rule. Keep your material securely against the fence. If I have my material out here and I go to try to make that cut, well, A, I'm not cutting straight, and B, the saw is going to grab that board and slam it against the fence. Okay? So, always keep your material against the fence. If you have to cut at an angle, well, the machine turns. Unlock it, spring lever. If I have to cut at a certain angle, I can do that. As you see with the table here, it has grooves that everything locks. So it's usually either at 0 or 45. But again, there's grooves at 10, 15, 20, 22 and a half. 22 and a half is for if you're making a gazebo. 31 and 31.62 degree angle is for actually making a hexagon. All right. So if you ever need to cut at those angles, you can do so. If you ever need to cut at an angle in which you do not, the table does not lock in any of these grooves, and you simply push the brake down, make a cut. So if you're eventually get into building someday and you have to cut rafters or a shed that you're building, well, you have to cut at a 18 degree angle. You can do that because it's locked in place. Okay. But for the most part, it's at 0. If you ever come to this machine and it's at a different angle, simply lift up the spring lever, put it back at 0, lock it in place. Okay? Next, the saw curve on this blade is about 3/32. Saw curve, that's the area of the blade in which the sawdust is created. So when you see that sawdust flying, that's the result of the blade going into the machine for the saw curve. Why is that important? Because you need to know what is the waste side of your line. If you cut on the incorrect side of your line, you're going to be cutting, well, we'll round up 3/32 to 4/32, which is 1/8 of an inch short. And that does matter for your projects. Okay? So if I have to cut this material to 11 inches, actually we're going to start off with 12 inches. I have to cut this material to 12 inches. I'm going to make my mark relatively in the middle of the board. Put my mark relatively in the middle of the board. That's the point of contact. That is where the blade initially touches the board. If I have my mark back here, well, the blade doesn't touch it there. Okay, so I want my mark about 3 inches away from the fence. You don't have to measure it. You don't have to measure it out, but make sure you're at least 3 inches away from the fence. Okay, with your mark. So I'm going to line and cut up. I'm going to make sure that this side of my blade is barely touching this side of my line. If I have my blade on this side of my line, being that's a 12-inch mark, well, what am I cutting my board to now? If I have my blade on this side of my line, the good side of my line. 11 and 7/8, very good. So I want to make sure I have my board lined up so my blade is barely touching the waist side of my line. Properly line up the cut. All right. I make sure I'm lined up. When I cut on the chop saw, first off, you squeeze the trigger. Let the blade get up to full speed as a result of the motor getting up to full speed. Remember, the load on this machine is not the blade. The actual load of the machine is the motor. The blade is just a byproduct of the motor spinning through the electrons. Okay, so let the motor get up to full speed. Let the blade get up to full speed. If you just start the machine and cut, well, you're going to wear out the bearings in the motor and have to replace it. Okay, so always let the blade get up to full speed. Squeeze the trigger, lower it down, make it cut all the way through. When I cut on the machine, I always cut my thumb, keep my thumb against my hand. As you see, here's the path of the blade. Obviously, I don't want anything near there. So what I do is, again, I always just keep my thumb against my hand, keep my material securely against the fence. I'm lined up. When you cut on any machines in my shop, remember, safety glasses on. And just ease through the cut. Do not force it down. Again, you're going to bog down my motor. I don't want that. You're going to burn it up. All right? Scraps. Trash can. Any questions? All right. Thank you, guys. Excuse me? Well, it's not something like that. Excuse me? Right, anything over a foot we want to see. Yep. Okay. All right.